day would not have been the same without you, and we all know how far you traveled to get here. Yes, sir. While all officers assigned to the academic department had a positive impact upon our lives, it would be the battalion officer and 2 company officers assigned to maintain good order and discipline that would crack the whip when needed. And without going into great detail, let's just say that with 17 to 20-year-old testosterone levels at their peak, whip cracking was frequently required. 3 Marine officers not only kept us in line, but led by example in personal and professional carriage. They didn't make it easy, though we knew from the start that while they cared for our well-being, they would tolerate little. The rules were clear, and they policed them well. Yes, we acknowledged the uniform they wore and the positions they held, but in the end, it was so much more. We grew to honor, respect, and even love these men that cared so deeply for us. In order of seniority, Captain John Pritchard served as our battalion officer. I will read a tribute to John Pritchard later in the program. Next in line was our Company 1 officer, Jack Mattias. In the wake of some recent surgery, it was not wise for Jack to travel, but he sends his greetings to all and best wishes for a rain-free, successful reunion. So far, so good, Jack. Our Company 2 officer was, upon our arrival, then First Lieutenant Don Christie. And he would be promoted to captain sometime during the academic year, and I recall at the time how those railroad tracks on his collars made him look so much older. It was about that time that I was promoted to sergeant, so who was I to talk? In my role as student battalion commander, it was my privilege to work very closely with both Captains Mattias and Christie. I wish you all knew the joy that I feel at this moment, as it is my privilege to introduce and welcome back to NAPS one of our former company officers. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Donald E. Christie, Colonel, United States Marine Corps.
I think as starters, we can all agree that the Chief of Naval Operations picked the right man to come.
Amen.
Carlos, I'd follow you anywhere, but it's tough to follow you to a podium. What a true honor to be here today, quite seriously, gentlemen of NAPS 67, and your ladies. Just a moment just to speak to the ladies themselves. Thank you for accompanying your husbands to this. Throughout all of our careers, it's the wives which have been there and talked to some of the classmates that have been at sea forever. We've all had those unaccompanied tours, and it's the wives that have maintained the home front. And to come and to a reunion, support the husbands while we tell stories you've heard 1,000. It's marvelous. Thank you. And also, what a start to today.
Well, you've done a great job of backfilling for Harlan.
Now, to see the march on today, I was absolutely blown away. You guys were in step. I was sitting there, Harless and I are grading you. But when Ken Marks contacted me, I guess it was in June of last year, I was absolutely overwhelmed to be remembered. 45 years, and they still remember the skinny little captain. I wished I was still so skinny.
We all.
But I was indeed delighted to accept the invitation. But early on, I had some challenges to overcome. In one of my early communications, or whether it was my biography or it was an email, I made the grievous mistake of using a capital M for the word Marine. while using a lowercase s as a sailor.
What's wrong with that?
Hoorah, Marines! This kind gentleman over here caught this.
Yes!
Like he does everything. The detail is amazing. And the gentleman that Bob is, he kindly said, pointed this out and said, "But I understand the Marine way." But sailors know, based on that, from now on in all my ratings, sailors with a capital S. The reunion committee has absolutely done a magnificent job.
Yes.
It's just absolutely. Alex and I, and Bob, Antonio, and others have talked. To put this together is truly, truly terrific. The search. Through all those search engines, I can hardly spell computer. I'm a Marine infantryman, but Ken Marks going back and tracking through and finding all of us is just truly, truly amazing. And that list, and it's going to be kept and it's going to be enhanced, as years go by and go collect the remaining, couple dozen, and that's going to keep you bound together for truly for the rest of your life. Whether it was the organization, the coordination, and the sit reps. As those sit reps came in, I thought they were planning an amphibious operation against the hostile shore. And the maps, which is absolutely terrific what the committee did. But the other is the history of your class, 67. And if any of you haven't had the chance to read Wally's history of the class of 67, treat yourself to it. It's truly a magnificent document. There are stories that are going to be told and retold, and yes, the wise have heard it many times, but there's some you might not even have known about. And it's really, really worth it. That website with the pictures, the photographs, and yes, we've got a little sadness here with the decline, but now we have the biographies of those of us who are in there, and if you haven't submitted yours, by all means, do so. It just enhances the site, and the photographs. It all brings it together. It truly, truly is a wonderful site. I think maybe more than all of that, gentlemen, truly, you're an impressive group. Those are getting hungry. Those are the sandwiches. And I'll try to speed up. A little chilly under the tent. Great luck. A little chilly under the tent. I think we got turkey sandwiches. But when you go to both, Wally's history as well as you read the biographies, those are truly testimonies of the successes that you have all had, no matter what the walk of life that you chose to go. There were great Navy Marine careers. There are great business careers. They're just huge successes professionally and technically. You're a community of leaders wherever you went, and even great successes in the ministry. And to that, you sit here and say, I tip my hat to all of you. Be even a small portion, in your lives has truly been an honor for me. Now, as we look at the Old Home School, we know she hasn't weathered well, but it's not those bricks and mortars that keep us together. It's truly the time here at NAPS, the personal friendships that really will bind us together forever. And I know that you learned and grew while you're here at NAPS, but we did too. We heard from Marlis and Bob. We as a staff grew and learned as well. A lot of remembrances. It's not just the bricks and mortar. It's like our CEO with Arliss, great professionals like Bob, Antonio, and the rest of the academic staff. There were also those other two superb Marines, Jack Mattias and John Pritchard. And I'd like just a minute, to remember those. And as already been said by John, Jack is not feeling well. The last time, Jack and I talked, which was not too long ago, but prior to that, it was 1970 in Vietnam. Okay, He was the operation officer of the recon battalion and had a team inserted into the jungles, and they were in hot pursuit by the enemy. And the recon team is supposed to be getting intelligence, not fight. So they needed to be extracted. The battalion that I was with was close at hand. Jack came down and we helped coordinate that extraction. And from then until a couple months ago, Jack and I had lost contact with each other. That was a great thing. And Jack indeed sends his best wishes. We're here, well, he can't be here, but just so you all know, Jack is now Dr. Mattias, PhD, living in San Diego.
Oh,
He was always smarter than me. John Pritchard, as has been said, was just a very special gentleman. Killed in South Vietnam in 1968. I'd like to share just a bit of John's story and his heroism. John received 2 medals for his heroism in Vietnam. He was leading an infantry company of Marines, probably about 150, maybe to 200 in strength if it was reinforced, up near the demilitarized zone, and this was that offensive time. On 31 December 1967, John, for his actions, was awarded the Bronze Star Medal of Combat V. And during that engagement, John saw one of his troops in a forward position coming under. He was exposed to heavy enemy fire, and the Marine was wounded. John, without thinking, ran to that Marine under fire and extracted him back to safety, and the young man lived. And he went on during that entire fight, obviously, imbuing his Marines, and they won the fight. Sadly, it was about 30 days later, on January 27, 1968, when John was mortally wounded. His company came in contact with a reinforced North Vietnamese battalion. Now that battalion, just to know the size, was most likely at least 3 times the size of John's company. They were in close proximity to each other. John could not bring artillery, or air power in against the enemy. So he had no choice. His Marines assaulted the enemy position. And it was during that particular time when they assaulted that to inspire his Marines to continue the attack. John raced across, leading from the front, firing his rifle and throwing grenades across a field of amazing fire until he was mortally wounded. That inspired his men to continue the attack, and they won against odds which were absolutely amazing. So John, as Arlo said, is just a very, very special man and a great friend. I'd like to, just so you know, that John was special in many, many ways. Academically, athletically, the good Lord packaged it all in that one guy. Without a doubt, he would have been a general officer had he survived. And I also want to share with you that John had another side to him. He had a humorous side. John had a little bit of a rascal in him. He was a great coach, as we all know, but he was also a darn fine golfer. I was not. Okay. Still not.